So, are you overpaying for your leads? You probably are, and you're probably paying hundreds or thousands of dollars for publicly available information. You just haven't been able to scrape that information yourself, or you're paying someone a decent amount of money per lead in order to get that. So, nowadays, it's actually easier than ever to scrape data. And so, there are awesome tools right now that you don't even have to just scrape the data, but you can actually automate the full process from gathering it to cleaning it to populating in your CRM, enriching it, and then even sending off personalized emails. But today, we're going to go ahead and show you some different ways that you can almost scrape anything on the internet. So, today I was sharing some information about how to enrich some leads. And my buddy Chris here, who is an awesome dude, founder of Wonder School, basically trying to solve the childcare challenge. So if this is relevant to you, go check out that company. He is awesome, awesome company solving a big problem. So he was asking, have you found a way to generate a list of websites based on Google search? So for instance, restaurants in San Francisco. The answer is yes. That is absolutely possible in many different ways. So whether you're technical, not so technical, you can basically gather this information. And I want to say it's completely free because you do have to pay for some tools, but it's like pennies on the dollar compared to probably the methods you're currently using today. So I'm going to go ahead and we are going to show you how to gather some of this information. So we're going to go ahead and use his request of restaurants in San Francisco. So first off, as you see in Google search, you have up here places. We're not going to go through how to actually pull all the places data, but Google does have an API. Unfortunately, it is paid. And I would really only recommend using this if you need it for an app. But if you just need a one-off or maybe multiple time off information from Google search results, we're going to show you how. The other thing, we Yelp and TripAdvisor, super easy to also scrape. I'll show you how to do that while we're going through the Google search results. But essentially, these are what you're going to look for if you go ahead and Google it. And you can pretty much Google anything and pull any of the results. So there are a bunch of different methods. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you some other sort of cool bonuses beyond just scraping what you actually do with the information. So first off, Browse AI. Browse AI is not free, but it is super easy to use if you are non-technical and you're new to scraping data. It is probably my favorite. It also is super helpful for a lot of the websites that are dynamically populating information. So if you've ever gone on a website and sometimes you'll scroll or you're out of filter and new information pops up, that information is being pulled from somewhere else and it's showing up on your computer dynamically. It is not always there. And so if you were to try to scrape that, you might not be able to actually get information. But Browse AI tends to be able to actually get sometimes that dynamic info because of the way they approach scraping. You don't need to worry about all that for today, but that is important. And basically, everything is scrapable, and that is a solvable problem. But the other cool thing with Browse AI is you can build a bunch of robots. So they on the first tier of that $20 level, you only have 10 available. So here's some of the ones I've already built, but you can pretty much swap them in and out. You'll see I have two because what you can do is not just search or scrape the first level of data, but then you get the details. So for instance, for BizBuySell or Yelp or Google Maps or Yelp, basically you'll have the initial search results and then you'll have the listing page. And that's really where the info that you probably want resides. And so you actually have to build two robots for that search. And the other cool thing about Browse is they have pre-built a bunch of use cases for you. So many of the things that you probably need, regardless of the industry you're in, they probably have solved part of that. If it's more unique use cases, there's other tools that you can use, but whether it's to monitor LinkedIn, Product Hunt, even Medium, and they even do have both Yelp, even and so they do have Google search. We'll do pull up the Google search by countries just to show you how this works. And then also related key search terms. And then if you wanted to use DuckDuckGo or something else, or even if you wanted Zoom info, even though we're trying to avoid spending all the money from Zoom info, you can do that as well. All right, so for extracting Google search results by country, basically all you would do is click this button called Use Automation. And while this is populating, We can also start this guy, which is for any search keywords you can do. And for restaurants, you probably want to do Google Maps. You might want to do Yelp as well. And they also have this. So this one was one we already did. So search results. This is from Maps. So as you can see, I've done this automation before. And it shows some of the results I had from a previous one. So we'll go ahead and start that one as well. All right. So this is going to be USA. This might actually give us too much of a result. So let's see. I'm going to take our restaurants example, put in the search keywords here, and then you just go next. We're going to keep it at 10 for now, but you can go a lot. And just to know about Google, they used to have infinite scroll. To access infinite scroll, you have to use the developer tools. It's a sort of a pain in the butt to set up. But typically, if you are trying to do that, you're only going to get from search results to about 30 pages, and there's about 10 results per page. So it's going to be somewhere between 200 to 300 results typically. Sometimes you can get a little bit more, but that's what to expect on Google search because people don't tend to go past page 30. What do you know? So if you're looking for more, there are a couple little hacks that I found besides using developer tools in order to do that, which we will go into at the end. All right, so it is running this first level search. So we'll let that run for a second, come back. I don't know if it's actually going to find it since it's on a country level from the pre-built robot. Might need to use a different one. But this is basically just the standard search results. So let's go ahead and get this going. I don't know if we already launched that one. Yeah, here we did. All right, so once again, we want restaurants in San Francisco. So here's by country. Okay, so this is going to be like way too much info. It's not quite what we wanted, even though it actually looks not horribly bad. So we have Yelp result, TripAdvisor. Those were some of the ones that showed up. SF Eats. So actually, let's look back and see how close it is to the front page. So it didn't populate the places one. Again, if you want these guys, you're going to have to probably use developer tools and there's all, or go to Maps, which again, there was another tool you could use for that. But yep, you had Yelp. So the top 3 results showed up. Beautiful. So all you would do here is you can download this like that and into CSV or a JSON. JSON you would use for potentially an automation. And then we can also connect this into our make.com and integrate this into other tools. So over here, if you wanted to monitor any changes, you could create a little monitor. And that's typically if you're looking for prices or other things and changes to specific websites versus search results are probably going to be changing less. And then they have some direct integration. So if you wanted this to go straight into Google Sheets, you could do that and have it pop right over. So rather than downloading the CSV, then you'll have, you could do that for Airtable as well. And then of course, Zapier and Make and even webhooks or any of the API tools, you're going to be able to basically push this data through these API connectors. If you don't know an API connector, like the glue that connects all the different tools. So you can take the data that came from here and send it somewhere else to go do something else. So you could send it into your CRM, you could send it into the sheets to then get cleaned up. Okay, so that was one. So we pretty much solved that, but I did want to show you. Okay, so this one didn't really show good. ScoMa's restaurant progress. Okay, so you might need to test out a couple different ones to see which ones are providing the best. So this one really shows like the top results. Okay, so this is what it's showing up here, the progress, SF, and this is the URL that you're getting. So you're not getting that level of detail that you probably are looking for. So even though you're actually getting the result, you're not getting the excerpt and you're not actually going into this page to then find info. There is a way where you can do that though. We're going to show you probably maybe with one of the ones I've already built just for ease. So why don't we do that with places and maps? All right. The way to do this is you want to basically create, let's see how I show this, into workflows. So for instance, we'll stick with our maps example. Okay, so here we go. So for Google Maps, basically first it's going to get the search results from the maps, and then it's going to extract the details from Google Maps. So again, you're going to get the list, and then you're going to get the actual listing data. So let's run this and see what happens. And let me edit to see what we actually have in here for the queries. open the page just to see what they put in. So again, super intuitive, straightforward to use, just clicking around buttons here. Can be a little bit slow. Okay, so I was actually scraping septic companies at the time I was looking for this. So let's do. You also have to know if you're going to be putting this in here, and especially if you're going to be putting it into an automation where maybe you're going to be doing a large list of the URLs. You have to look at the URL structure and see that here it is search. You got a plus sign between the zip code and restaurant. So we're going to take that, copy and paste how that syntax is, and put that after search. Okay. And then for now, again, we're keeping it to 10. You can keep going. It'll probably get to about, again, 200 to 300, maybe more. So we'll run this task just to make sure everything is working properly. We are going to, let's actually maybe use these guys to find the results. So actually what I would probably do here is you can see there's just standard structure after the SCA ESV equals, and then there's a bunch of letters and numbers equals, and then it has the name of the restaurant. So I would actually take this data and put it into a different automation that would then go and scrape those specific websites if you wanted a deeper level flow, which I will also see if we can show you how to do. Okay. So here is what we got from Google Maps. Beautiful. This is very nice data here. Everything is well structured. That's why I like Google Maps for local searches more so than Google Search. But again, plenty of use cases you need Google search results. So totally get that. But for Google search results, what I usually do would send the URLs into an HTTP and then scrape those specific sites. So we will go through that as well. Okay, so here we got our A robot. This was robot A, if you remember. Okay, beautiful. All right, so now we got our listings and we're happy with that. Okay, so over here is the settings where we want to change the default. So I had run that a few times. Whoops, got restaurants. Save that. All right, so we want to go back to where our workflows were and go back to this guy. So we got robot A working well. And so robot B, let's go check out what's going on with him. Okay, so we need this to populate from the other one. So these actually URLs should be coming from the other one. This was saved though from the previous. So let's go to the settings. See previous data that I pulled. Okay, so here, so if you're doing with make.com and an automation, it actually makes it dynamic so that these URLs also won't be static and just like that. It'll input a bunch in one at a time if you wanted to do a bunch of different queries, let's say. Yeah, because we need an example from the previous. Okay, so we have this workflow. So we checked robot number 1, robot 2, we checked. The data though will have to basically be coming from here and into this. So I usually do this in make.com. So let's see what they recommend and if we can integrate this directly. But usually I go to make.com and integrate these guys so that I can have everything dynamically run through. Okay, so we did restaurants from the other one and populated in. And then now we have the details of all of the listings, places. So see if we can see this better. You can see we'll go to this link. This is 13 manufacturer. All right. And this is Lola. Just okay, some good foreign cinema, good restaurant, lots of good places in San Francisco. All right. So now we've got phone number, the website, I guess their status, if they're open or not, address, and rating. So that's pretty good info. You could even probably take this a step further, and based on their websites, you then can scrape more information about the company and populate that elsewhere as well. Pretty cool. All right, so let me just show you too. We'll go to make.com later so that I can show you how you can actually take that data and put it through so you can do many queries. and not have to do one by one and probably run them through the same robots with different keywords. That was pretty good. All right, next. Okay. So Appify is going to be the candy store of web scraping. You can basically find anything you want to scrape data. So this was one of the web scrapers for fast Google results. So again, you're probably only going to get about 3 to 400. We can even see these guys. I don't mind because it's $3 for 1,000 results. I don't think we're even going to get 1,000 results. So I don't mind spending a buck or two on this. So here it's super straightforward. If you are using make.com or some API integrator, you're going to want to use JSON. This is basically going to end up populating elsewhere. We'll do that another day, but this is super simple. So here they both have, you want to look through what all the data inputs are because not all of them are the same. So just going back up a sec, here's the store. So like you can scrape anything. They have a bunch of stuff. And if they don't have a standard thing that you want to scrape, like if you're not looking to scrape one of the standard platforms, there are other tools like the Cheerio is one, Puppeteer I've used. These ones are web scraping. These all can scrape other types of websites that are not standard necessarily. There's like a scraper for everything. The other thing I like about Appify is that you can choose your model, your business model that you want, how you want to pay. So for instance, we're looking for Google search. You can sort by pay per results, events, usage, rental. So however you want to pay for this, there's a different option for you for the most part. There's also a bunch of developers building stuff here. And then Appify actually has a bunch for themselves that they maintain. And so there's a whole bunch of categories if you're like, I just want to shop around, check it out. Anyway, so we're going to go through, most of them are pretty good too, by the way. I've had sometimes challenges with some, but for the most part, they do a good job maintaining stuff here. So you don't have to go through a gazillion to find one that's going to work for your needs. All right, Google search scraper. So let's do a couple of these to see which ones come up with gems. Okay, let's do restaurants. Whoops. We'll do it together. Restaurants here. Okay, so you do have location down here. So we can try that again. I don't know if it doesn't understand zip codes. That's a possibility. Number of results. Okay, 100's fine. 100 per search. So you know what? Let's see. Let's see if we get 1,000. I don't think we will. We'll probably get a couple hundred, as I mentioned. So this is cool. They have more advanced stuff you can use for right now. If you wanted a specific site related to the site, oh, this is pretty neat. Okay. Boom, boom. All right, let's go, baby. All right, sometimes these guys can take a while. Not thrilled with the results. Okay, over here, we got 99. All right, better. Let's see. I think these are going to be the ones we want. All right, so let's preview what came up. All right, here we go. This was the search, not there, not. You have to sometimes click around to see the actual results because you can dive deeper in each. Okay, so it's still going. Okay, so it hit 4. So you just have to go into some of these different ones, which can be annoying to see where your data populates, and you need to know how that's structured too. Otherwise, that's why I think Browse AI, if you're not technical, is going to be the better option. So you can actually see the raw data to make sure it actually pulled stuff. Okay, so it did. All right, so here's all the search stuff. Okay, so it did pull a bunch of stuff. It's just a matter of finding where it is going to be structured because there's always a table. It always has a table. It's just finding where to click into that table. This is a new actor I hadn't previously used. Usually these are prettier in how the results are, but that's okay. And then I do always integrate this stuff too so that it actually populates nicely into spreadsheets. So we're going to want to look at the organic results is I think where the goods are. Table view is not what I like to see. Okay, this is getting actually a bunch of HTML as well. That's why it is ugly. Here we go. All right, so it does have this. Okay, so basically you would download this data, and these are going to be the columns of your spreadsheet. So this you can at least preview and see what they're giving you. So they did get the URLs and the search results. They gave you the query that we had. Yeah, so not as nice as Browse, but this one worked. So I would just say try some different actors. And again, you can then export these results, and it's going to ask you how you want this data. And again, if you integrate this, we'll show you, it'll look hopefully better. And then you can do more with it. But usually you have to clean some of this stuff up when you get it. It's not always going to be perfect. Doing too much. All right, so you can export it into a bunch of different stuff. So if you do all fields, it's going to give you all of that ugly stuff that we just saw. So we'll do one of those, and then also going to do it so that you get it a little nicer. So we saw that basically the results were organic results. So if you download that, you will then get also just that. So it won't give you a gazillion. I've downloaded stuff with I think 1,000 columns accidentally, and it wasn't fun to clean up or deal with. And so if you don't need the data, you don't need the data. But I also sometimes hog data. So sometimes you just want to keep the data just in case you need it for something. But I don't recommend it. Okay, let's just see if there's some other actors out there. Because again, wasn't too thrilled with that one. But again, you have a store and it's easy to shop around. So if you don't like that one, Google search, it's common enough. You're probably going to find more than one. Every once in a while, I only find maybe one or two, but for the most part. All right, so we've tried one. We haven't tried that one. Another one. You can even get search reviews, search scraper. We did try that one. Anyways, okay, that's another option. Another easier option if you're not into Appify. I didn't do a good sell on it, even though I actually think it's pretty phenomenal, at least for my purposes, and you get a ton of data. That just wasn't the best example. Clay.com. But if you're looking for cheaper leads, then I would go with one of the other options. But for ongoing enrichment, this is just fabulous because it basically takes all the different tools for scraping. You can use Appify, pull it in here. It'll pull all the different tools and pull all the data in here, and it's just an easy workflow. We're going to start off with a table, and just so I can show you. Basically, it's creating a table that looks like a spreadsheet, and you're going to populate in the data that you want. And it's first going to do the searches that you want. So if you want to find people, companies, they give you different methods for doing all of that. You can monitor things. So it's just a really good tool. And they happen to have find something with a Google search or a map. Now, if you look over here, this is tokens and credits. So it is going to consume that. I still have some left. I might have to buy some more for today, but we'll see. And again, if you wanted to import an actor, so the one I was just using, I again probably don't want to at this point, but you could import data from Appify or run Appify stuff that then populates automatically into Clay. So it's pretty great. This is a really cool tool. A ton of people are using this. You have sales and marketing teams. This is going to be amazing for you if you want to reduce your costs. Yeah, it probably won't be, but you can actually only get a couple licenses, and then for your teams, you can take a ton of this stuff and use it. So it's really like relatively not expensive, but if you want pennies on the dollar versus paying a couple $100 a month, this won't be your tool. But bang for your buck. Okay, you can find local businesses. We'll do the actual search since that's what we've been looking for to see if we can find a better one. Obviously maps is going to be an easier thing to query. So let's see, country. Okay, so we'll do United States. Language, Inglés. We'll just do 200. I don't know if I have enough credits, but we will see. So we are going to do a query of restaurants. Can't type this evening. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're going to start with a new table. All right, so it's actually doing the work for you here. So this is pretty awesome. You don't need to worry about formatting. You don't need about downloading, copying, pasting. It just does it in the spreadsheet. It is awesome. All right, so I think we're getting 25 here. So we'll probably also have to come back as it's working, because then what you can do is then a deeper level search of getting company details and getting more details and getting email addresses. And it's just really awesome. You can enrich a ton of data using Clay. I really like this. I use this in conjunction with other scraping tools. I use this in conjunction with Make.com automations, but this solves a huge issue for a lot of people. And you don't need to use as many automations for make because this does a bunch for you. So why recreate the wheel if this just does stuff for you? So this is going to be the easier one. I think this means it found it. Okay, here we go. So yes, it did. So now we're gonna, if we want to add this stuff just to a column separately, we're gonna go ahead and do that. So let's add a column. Link, create the column. It's going to create it for us. See, it's super easy. Then we're gonna do title. Yeah, we do want to know what the title of that result was. So add to column. Boom, title, create the column. I don't really care about favicons. The source, yeah, probably would be good. Add to column. Here we go, source. Boom. Position in the result, we might need to know that. I like to know that stuff. All right, thumbnail, I don't care. Redirect link, no, we don't need that. And display link, and don't need that. Ooh, they have snippets of highlighted words. Don't really need that. All right, so look at what we got. We got position of results. We've got the source of where this stuff it came from. We got the title of the result and some links. And these links, we then can go scrape further. So what we're going to do next is add some enrichment, or actually we can do find more information from these links. Okay, so here's what we can do now with those links. We can either go scrape those websites, we can perform a further search. So we are going to scrape those websites and see what data we can get. And I would say, again, if those were local businesses, you'd want to go down finding people or more information about the business. But since these are like articles and other things, let's go ahead and do some website scraping. And you can even perform further searches. All right. So the website, we're going to go, that's website URL. We're going to go and pull our link that we had created. That's going to pull this column right here. All right, let's see. What else do we want to customize? Output fields. This would be if you wanted it to go a certain spot. This is custom regex. So this is it. Regex is basically if you need to parse stuff. This is a special syntax for it. I'm not a fan. Don't get into it if you don't need to, but sometimes you really do. This is again if you wanted to parse this full URL and get some parts of it, like restaurant for some reason, or just get www.opentable.com. You could do all of that with regex if you were in Excel and doing a find or a left or one of those different formulas to basically extract info from this cell. So if you only wanted to find, maybe if it wasn't Yelp or if it wasn't TripAdvisor, maybe you just wanted to find everything else. And the cool thing is, if you're like, I don't know how to do that, they've got a little AI tool that you say in plain English what you actually want to do, and it's going to create the formula for you. So that's pretty cool about Clay too, is their little AI helper is pretty good because who wants to learn new syntax and formula building from a whole other tool once again. So it basically gives it to you. All right, so we are going to just continue on. All right, select the data you want to add to the column, then run the integration to see the results. All right, yeah, let's add all this stuff. Let's see what happens. I like to add columns, more data, see what we want. Extract the keywords. That would be helpful. Let's see what's going on with that. All right, links. The href, yeah, we definitely want some links. And we want some text too. So we're just going to get all the data that we can possibly get and see what it all looks like. It's going to eat up some tokens, but that is okay. Okay, this is for phone numbers. Don't care about images. And let's just do the body. All right, let's save. So it shows you how much. So it's going to create all these columns. Created the columns. Now, look, we've got some queuing. Here we go. This is exciting. Woohoo! All right, more websites. So that is basically the website we had before. So nothing too wild there. But hey, we got some description. We got the title, extracted more info. Now, personally, I'd probably want to go through and actually scrape those websites and maybe be a little bit more discerning. Again, not totally sure what our goal here was, but we're going through this. But this is cool too because you're getting email addresses. Obviously, those are not correct. So there have to be a little bit of cleanup. There's always data cleaning, can't avoid it. But that's at least cool. It did think it was that because of the app sign. So I understand it, can't fault it, even though it has its moments of stupidity. So that might be something in the future you would want to exclude if you notice that this is populating or coming up frequently from these queries. But we did get some email addresses for some restaurants. So that's good. All right. And then some more info about the websites. Okay. So that was at least a start. Showing clay.com is pretty awesome. Okay. So the other hack, if you have a Google search results and you need more than those 2 to 300, here's my hack. I use Ahrefs. Like, it is $100 a month. I actually just canceled my subscription, so I can't show you the full example of how to do this, but they do have Keyword Explorer up here. So again, I'd have to upgrade, but if you do Keyword Explorer, you can actually do a search and extract the data. So I do have, let me see if I can pull up. Yes. Okay. Here was an example of some data that I extracted from a keyword search results with Google. So don't ask why I was looking for cooling tower services. I've been doing some acquisitions. So anyways, was looking for the top results. And so I was able to do this. Again, this didn't really prove my point, but for a couple other keyword searches, I was able to get 3,500 results. So obviously better than 300. Didn't give me all the ones I was looking for. I was actually looking for 80,000. So I'm still working on scraping that level of data, but you can still get a good chunk of stuff even through Ahrefs and doing that. And then you actually get keyword info. So again, depends on your goals and what you're looking for and what tool is going to serve you well. So once you've done all that, you can actually go into make.com and scrape some websites as well. So some of the different data scraping that I have used. So here you can see the browse.ai icon. So I actually scraped BizBuySell a few times. Wasn't super helpful, but anyways, I did do that and was able to monitor that to get some data. So let's see if this was the example I can talk about. Okay, so basically I was watching to see when one of the robots was running. When it finished, I then had to iterate through to the other one. So it was like every domain was then running through the other one. So they actually built it in now. So what you saw before was not going on previously when I had built this, but that's essentially what it was doing and then populating into Airtable. Let's see what others good here to show you. Appify. Let's go to Appify. Okay, so for Google Maps, here's another example. I was demoing for someone. So I had a bunch of stuff that was going into my Airtable. Then I ran my actor for Appify. So as I told you before, it's about JSON that we were looking at. Those pretty ugly populated in here. Did the keywords in the city. This was again for Google Maps. I found Google Maps. If you're looking for local businesses, definitely use that. Google search results in it. Always add in sleep for basically allowing things to go, because sometimes if you overwhelm it with all the data at once, you will get blocked for certain things, or it just doesn't work well when it's bombarded. And then it pulled in some more items from the other results, and then it populated into Airtable. All right, so not as exciting on this one. Oh, here's a fun one. Okay, so when I was doing some government contracting work, I was trying to find contracts from sam.gov. They would then be pulled into my CRM. I was using Pipedrive at the time. And so for Google Map, also browse.ai, piped them into Pipedrive. I parsed some of the information so that it then could go into my robot. I then scraped this information. So it would do that Google Map search and then go back. I had another robot waiting. Google Maps, other one. All right. Then I had another one. Okay, this was actually for Yelp, but same idea, same thing. I was waiting, and then it would go and run the other one. And then ultimately, this could be populated back into your CRM. I did want to show you though, where is scraping data? Let's see if this one. Okay, so here what I would do is actually I would have So this is from Google Sheets. I would pull a cell. Typically, I was getting a website. Then you can just do an HTTP request. This is the other way to scrape data from a website. So if you have all those links, like even if it is the Yelp specific pages, if you're able to figure out the URL structure, you could definitely put them into the URLs and just do an HTTP request that will then basically scrape the full site. And once you have all the data from the site, it's going to look really messy. So you're going to need to parse it. I've done some lazy things because sometimes the text parsing, in this case, it was pretty easy because I just wanted to get the email addresses. But for other text parsers, you're going to use something called a regex, which again is a whole other syntax, which is not super fun. So if you're doing that, you can also just use AI and have it pull all the data you want. I've done that when I've been lazy. Again, that consumes tokens, but it does get your data in order and get what you need. And then you put that into a structure, and then that goes into your spreadsheet. I will do another video because this is already a long video and on specifically how to use makeup.com and go through and scrape all that data. But at least now a couple of different tools. Oh, and there's one more bonus tool that I thought I will share on how to get. So we wanted restaurants. Boom. The other cool one. Okay. Just, I will warn you all, if you have children that like Pokemon, my son does. So I have actually ran scrapes unnecessarily many times. It's fine because it doesn't really cost me much, but there's this little Pokeball up here, and you can start crawling the data from here, and it basically downloads search results. So as you can see, not doing a great job today on this one. Usually this populates nicer. Okay, so another one that's not doing well, but that's okay. So you can do an infant scroll. This one does not have an so you have to locate the next button and show it. Sometimes you have to rerun this, the next button. All right. Where'd you go, Pokeball? All right. So then you would just start crawling it, and it would crawl the data. So this guy, again, not doing any favors today. Usually you can actually get better data. I have to figure out what's going on with this guy, but that's another tool. There's a gazillion other tools if you just Google scrapers. So find one you like. There are a bunch. There's Chrome extensions and a bunch of other stuff. So if you're on a site and you want to scrape it, there's going to be tools available. And yeah, that is all for all today. So thanks so much. Hopefully this was helpful. Ask questions so then I can clarify and do a deeper dive and be better prepared on the next video. This was my first videos. Hopefully you show me a little grace here, but hopefully this helped. All right, have some fun. Busy scraping.